Hey everybody, welcome to Antique Automotive Service. My name's Adam. Today I'm working on the 1970 Buick GS Stage1 burnished saddle coupe. You might have seen it in some other episodes a while ago. I did an episode of trim removal on this one and instrument panel install. But I've got a few little buggy issues on this thing that need to be taken care of before we take it to MCACN in the fall. One issue is that I think is a related issue. It's got turn signal issues. The brake lights and the turn signals don't work on the left side rear. I never replaced that switch. I just used the old one, hoping that it would still be good, but obviously we have an issue there. And I have a couple other things. Let's see what we got on my list. I've got to put a fuel line clip on the engine. Transmission pan leaks like a sieve. I've got to take that off and either reseal it or replace it, something. Can't get it to stop. And the wheel opening molding screws are incorrect on this thing. I've also got, I just saw this, and the sail panel lamps are not working, and I don't know why. Let's dig in. So I think I know why these guys aren't working. I'm gonna lay that to the side for a minute, but I do need to check out why we have no sail panel lights when the doors are open. So that orange wire there is what powers the sail panel lights, and there's a connector right there. I'm actually going to pull that apart and see if I can get power while the doors are open. If we got power, then we're looking at something else, maybe bulbs or something. Apparently they're working again. I didn't do anything, I didn't touch anything. That's super weird. So I went to open the doors to check the power for this, and they turned on. Oh. Okay. This horn button should pop off. Ugh. Ouch. And then we got the horn contact. If you're not familiar with these things, you gotta be careful and make sure you note how everything comes out. I think that's a 15/16 nut that holds the power or the steering wheel on. 7/8. Oh, a little sticky on the end. Once in a blue moon you can get that to come off by hand, but I'm going to need a puller for this. Okay. Most steering wheel puller kits are pretty much the same. I've got mine already set up for what I need it to. Typically we'll throw one bolt on, get it where I want it to go, and then I'll throw everything else on and get that second bolt in last. These things, I don't know if it's the puller itself. It's probably the puller. The spacing between here and here is just a little too much, so the bolts kind of want to splay out a little bit, so it can be difficult to get that second bolt started. Just make sure it's not cross-threaded and give her hell. Where are you? Half inch. get it secure in there, and I think this is also a 1/2 inch, yes. And just send it. Yeah, that didn't take much at all. Easy peasy. It takes 6 weeks to get this thing back into the case. Sure. All right, I'll get that taken care of later. Okay, next. Lock cover. 3 screws. Usually these things, if they haven't been messed with, they have little plastic retainers on the back here to hold these screws in, but they always, oh, there's one right there. They always kind of go nine-eye because they either break or they just don't last. I'm gonna leave that guy in there. I need a special tool for this. Okay, there is a ring holding this lock plate on, and the lock plate needs to be depressed, the ring removed, and then the plate will come out. So this tool really helps out with that, and I think it's called a lock plate remover, compressor, something. I don't know. Does the job. So thread it on, and then thread your wing nut down far enough to where there's no pressure on your ring, and it can be a bit of a fight to get this ring off, but I try to just work my way around the ring to get it out of the groove. Couple small screwdrivers or a screwdriver and an awl usually do the trick. All right, that is off. I'm gonna decompress. You can see that lock plate coming up like that. Now for some reason, and I'm not going to worry about it at this point, the steering wheel lock is not working on this column. So we're just going to pretend that's not a problem. There's the ring, lock plate, and then the horn contact with the little gig there. All right, so here is your turn signal switch. Everything looks hunky-dory here, but you can't always tell. There are 2 items that need to come off of the switch itself. One is this hazard switch here. Sometimes they just screw off, the whole thing screws off, and this one has a screw in the middle of it that screws off. It comes off like that, and then we have the turn signal switch lever itself. It comes off with a single screw. And then there are 3 screws holding on the switch itself. When we get this switch off, we're going to need to go down low. I got to take some of this stuff off and kind of regroup and see what exactly I need, because this is a tilt column and it's a little bit more involved than just a standard column getting this signal switch out. Come on. Okay. Switch is loose, and in theory this thing should pull out enough you can kind of do that with it. Oh, hey, there's another plastic retainer gig. All right, so next we really just need to go down under the dashboard and disconnect it at the column and pull this whole thing out and put the new one in. In order for me to get to the connector, I really only just need to take this plenum out. There's 2 screws that hold it in, and it just comes down, and there's a duct that goes to this guy here, and then there's a coupling right there that needs to be disconnected. That's what that looks like disconnected there. And if we look up here, that's that guy right there. Can't see my finger. Yeah, that whole long switch right there is what we're trying to access. It was kind of impossible for me to show that to you, but here's the turn signal switch harness connector that goes into the column, and that needs to be fed back up through the column to get the switch out. This is the connector from the harness under the dash, and yeah, they just come apart. There's a little tang that holds it together, so you have to pry this back a little bit while you're pulling them apart, and then it'll come apart. So now we just have to figure out how to get this thing out without depinning this whole thing. And my usual go-to is to kind of pull as far as I can and then electrical tape this right here, so it's kind of less of a barbed thing as you pull it back up through the column. Oh, this is might be another issue. I might have to pull this off because there's like a plastic sheath on this thing, I believe, that you have to unsheath to get the wire out. Let's check that out. Yeah, this is definitely different than a non-tilt gig. Here, let's see if I can do this without my light turning off. So here's the switch wire, and there's this plastic sheath that runs under this bracket. So we've got to remove the bracket, which is going to drop the column, and take this plastic sheath off, because it is, you cannot pull this through that without getting this out. I got one nut out here over on this side. This second nut is going to drop this column down to where it's just kind of hanging in the breeze. Stupid light. I think my little LED flashlight is about out of battery. Okay. So this thing is hanging by, literally hanging by the shift indicator, which is not super good. I'm gonna see if I can get it to hang some other way, because that's a lot of pressure to be putting on that thing. What can I do? Oh man, that's tight. Try not to put pressure on that little guy. I'll probably have to readjust that when I'm done. Okay. I think it was a little off anyway. All right, let's get close. So you can now see this plastic sheath this thing is in, and that just kind of slides out, but it also, it kind of holds the wire harness in there, and it just slid right out. But here we are. That should pull right out, but I've got to be careful, because it's not going to want to go. I might have just screwed myself. Pulled before I said I was going to pull. That's one way to get it out. Just cut it out. I'm going to match them up with your new switch. And the colors are usually going to be about the same. There's that bottom one, which is a black and white that goes to a white on the new one, and then black and yellow goes to yellow on the new one as well. And then there's a couple up top here, and I can't remember what those are for. But the black and yellow on the old switch is the one we were looking at as being the culprit for not having any tail lights or turn signals on the left side. So what we need to do is get this fish back through the column, and I'll just kind of, I'm going to make this as flat and vertical as I can, just like this, and tape it together and then push it through. I might even grab a fish tape and try to pull it through with either a wire or a piece of string. Okay, I fished my wire through the bottom side, and I need to hook this somehow. Just bend a hook into it, and I'm going to pull it like that, and then tape all this stuff up so that it stays together and doesn't wad up inside the middle of the steering column. The good thing is it's a lot easier to go that way through the column than it is to pull it back up through. Trying to keep this wire harness as flat as I can keep it, because if you get round, it doesn't want to go through the skinny portion of that column. Okay, let's see if this will go. I like to pull from the bottom and push from the top. Oh yeah, gravy train. Look at that. Okay, this guy needs to go here. He's all over the place. Okay, controlled. That's gonna go, where is the, it's upside down. Upside down switch. It's gonna go like that somehow. What in the world? This thing's twisted. She's twisted. Alright, we'll figure that out in a bit. Let's get this bottom side figured out. Put this in a spot where you can see. There's a bracket here that this guy snaps into. Comes from the top and then back down onto it. Just like that. And then, see if I got my brain screwed on correctly here. That just goes on over the top. There we go. Snaps right on. And we've got to get this plastic sheath back on. Oh, now I'm blinded by the light. Oh, there goes the light. There is no light. There is no spoon. Which way does this go? I think it goes this way. Get this thing shimmied in here. Pretend like I know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, beautiful. That looks like poop, but it should be covered up by everything. Let's get this bracket back on. Boy. Again, try not to put too much stress on your little shift indicator here. It's just literally hanging by the indicator. I think I might have to adjust this little guy once we're done. because it looks like it's pulled tight against the far adjustment. You know. Come on now. Going up in there. How far off are you? There we go. Oh! Now all the way up. Yeah, I definitely need to adjust it. Yeah, we need to bring our adjustment down on our indicator a little bit. I don't know where yet. I'm gonna stick it right there and push it all the way up. Put it in reverse. It needs to go a little further. Let's try that. Right in the middle. That would make sense. Okay. Park, reverse, neutralis, drive. There you go, we're good. All right. Whew. These are 9/16. Tighten those bad boys back up. And then we will reverse the process to get the turn signal switch and steering wheel back, put that back together. It may seem obvious what you're supposed to do at this point, but I'm going to make you watch it anyway. It tuckered me out. Meowt. You know, your screws lined up. Something doesn't feel right. Oh. There we go. There it needs to be. We're turning right. Where are these things? Screws. Hold the turn signal switch in. Let's get the lever in. Oh yeah, and disconnect the battery when you're doing this. If anything, it'll save your battery power when you're got all your doors open and lights running. Okay. Hazard switch. Oh, can't sit sideways for too long. All right, next. Horn contact. Somewhere in that general location. And then your lock plate's got to go back on, which means we've got to get the adjuster. And there is a blank spline. So there's only one way you can put this on. And it will not allow you to go any other way. I highly doubt you can get this thing to push on by yourself, so I'm just gonna throw this guy back on and work smart, not hard. Just run it down until you see the groove for the clip. There it is. Come on, get down there. I need some help. Where's my other screwdriver? I'll just use this guy. Oh, come on. Stay down. Get down there. Okay. Whew. Okay. That relaxes enough. Keys still only on position. Yeah, this column, for some reason, the lock does not engage. Not important, though. Lock plate cover. I think before I go any further, I'm going to test this. I don't know if I'll be able to test the horn. I probably can if I ground this thing, but let's give it a shot and get the battery connected up. Okay. Okay. This little tang on here on these sport wheel horn buttons has to hit that tang on the horn contact inside the wheel. And the horn button, in theory, it can go on anyway, but there is these little reliefs for all these screws. And it's kind of hard to screw it up because there we go. Perfect. All right, nice and centered. Good to go. Cool. So that's how you replace a turn signal switch. What else have I got to do on this thing? Let's see what we've got. Okay, under the car, we are looking at a seeping pan gasket and probably an O-ring on the dipstick tube. Probably just to be safe, I'll pull that and I'll see if I can get that resealed. But definitely going to pull this pan. It's all the way around. This thing is looking like that. And it's just constantly dripping. There's a lot of fluid in there just from sitting for a month. Okay, she's out. This pan has seen better days, like a lot of better days. So I'm wondering if this whole situation is just contributing to not being able to seal. So I went ahead and purchased a new one. This is an aftermarket that it will bolt up just fine, but it's got some different indents and whatnot. You can kind of see these are two dimples and there's a outle, another outle. So I don't know if that's a huge difference as far as somebody looking under the car for a concourse judge show. I really just want to install this thing, but I've got this guy here that is the same, except it's got a drain plug on it. And it was chrome, but I blasted it and painted it black, but then I found out that these are actually supposed to be bare metal. So this looks a lot more like the stock pan because it's got this indent here and these two guys here, but it just has a drain plug. So I think I'm going to re-blast this thing and quick polish with a wire wheel and clear coat it to make it look like just stamped bare steel. It's pretty on the inside, and hopefully it'll seal all the way around. Let's get her done. Much better. All right, let's see. I guess we need to refill the transmission, and then I'm going to move on to some other fun stuff. All right, moving on to the next thing is my wheel opening molding screws are apparently wrong. I think I knew this, but if you buy a kit from any of the, I don't know, parts place or inline tube, they're going to sell you these screws for wheel opening moldings. And they are close, but they're not perfect. I'm going to show you a picture right now of what they're supposed to look like. And I've got like a bag of 2 different types that I need, but one of them are, they're black phosphate, so basically I need to polish the heads of these screws, and I'll go ahead and just install these. So what I've got here is rear and front. They just have the rears have just the slightest, I don't know, it's kind of a built-in washer. I don't even know how you classify these screws, but these are the fronts, these are the rears. The fronts are ready to use, but I've got to take the rears and I'm going to take a wire wheel to them, clean them up. I'm going to throw them on the polishing wheel as well, just to kind of make them look like chrome. So let me go do that. I'll show you where I end up. So that's what I ended up with. Starting from this, just wire wheeled it off and then polished it on the polishing wheel. And you have chrome look-alike. Let's put them on. Okay, fronts are all done, all pretty and whatnot. The backs, I am gonna have to remove the wheels to get to some of these. I've got these wheel opening moldings have a couple extra holes drilled in them, but I'm not gonna worry about that. That one needs to be drilled because I had a patch in there and never drilled it. So let's get the wheels off and get these things replaced. Okay, trans pan, wheel opening molding screws, turn signal switch, fuel line clip. That's that right there. Get that installed real quick. And then I got one more thing I want to look at on this, and I think I'm done. That's what that little clip looks like installed down there. I forgot that that bolt was part of a water jacket and got a little face full of water when I took it off, but she's installed now. It was called to my attention on this molding here that this isn't kosher, and I think I know what happened. There's a big metal strap that runs the length of the fender to about here that should pull this all the way in, and I think the screw that holds that strap into the fender right here stripped out, and it pulled the whole molding out. So I'm gonna have to remove the molding, put a bigger screw in, and strap it back down. Oops, wrong way, Adam. Ooh, I put my transmission crossmember bolts in backwards. Oopsie! Okay. Usually there's a bunch more bolts holding this on, but not today. Come on now. There we go. Oh yeah, that bolt. Oh, okay. Okay, this one is kind of loose. Let's see. if it holds. No, it won't hold. Looks like I've got to put a new one in here, and this one, the bolt hole is off just a smidge. I don't know if I can, maybe I'll just drill a new hole and put one in there. Oh, boy, that hole looks really big. I don't even know if it's going to help to put a bigger screw in. Let's see. Put one with a 5/16 head in it. Hopefully it's a bigger diameter screw that will actually tighten up. Nope. Okay. I'm going to try 1/8 inch bit here and just drill it right next. And use the other 1/4 inch screw that I took out of this big ass hole here. Oh, that's weird. Huh. That's really weird. Fine. All right, so this one, well, now the hole is off center, so I'm going to try grab another 1/4 inch screw. See if I can get that to go in there. There we go. Okay. Let's get this thing back on, and it should be up here a little bit more snug. Okay. Oh, this sucks. Oh, there that goes. Make sure I'm in all these discs here. Oh, did that pop out over here? That's good. Oh, that's there. Nice. Much better. Whew. Okay, here we go. Where did I have these things put in? Okay. Yeah, it looks a lot better. A little more gap. These fenders flare out just a little bit. So I think that's why they put those big straps there to keep this trim from creating a gap. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is flip these cross member bolts right side up, and then I'm done, I promise. Here are the cross member bolts that I'm talking about. See how the bolt head is here? It needs to be facing down. I know these are nitpicky details, but points get taken off if they see them. So, gotta get it done. There's the finished product, if I can get it to focus. Yep. So, just gotta do one more side. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If anything, I hope you just learned how to replace a turn signal switch in this thing. But everything else was just little onesie-twosie stuff. Pretty easy repair type things. You kind of, now you know what I'm looking for and what I need, what I'm up against when I go to these judged events, that every little bolt is looked at, every little finish is looked at, and you learn more at every time you do it. So the car will be at MCACN this year, Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals, MCACN.com, MCACN.com, Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals. I believe it's November 18th and 19th, but I can't remember. It's the Saturday and Sunday before Thanksgiving. Always has been, always will be. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you already haven't, and hit that little bell at the bottom of the screen. That'll tell you when I have the next video up. So, see you next time.